Hello guys, welcome to my second advanced priest guide for Wrath of the Lich King. In this video we're gonna be talking about races, talents, glyphs, macros, gearing and stats Prio, how to play defensive and offensive, how to heal properly, Shadowfiend changes, the ranking spells, mana management, compositions to play in 2s and 3s, and some tips and tricks that I have learned playing Wrath Beta and all the knowledge that I consider important to share with you guys. Okay, for Wrath of the Lich King, the ratios that I would recommend to pick are the next ones. For Horde, I would recommend to go either Undead or Rudolph. For Undead, you get Wheel for Second Steal. You got Nerf on Wrath of the Lich King, but it's still Beast just because it's like a breaker for fears, obviously. The only issue with it is like on Wrath, this effect shares a 45-second CD with other similar effects, aka Medallion Trinkets. So you gotta be careful how you use this because it can like work against you if you don't know when to use will, because then your trinket is gonna be on CD, right? Also, you get shadow resistance, which is really good against other warlocks, priest, or any class that have shadow spells. Also, I recommend being Rudolph if you stay horror side, just because you get Arcane Intellect, which is an AoE silence and restores 6% of your mana, but also works as a spellcasting interrupt. You can like interrupt someone and they will get locked in that skull for 3 seconds, which is huge. Also, you get magic resistance, which works against every caster. It's 2%, which is really huge. I don't recommend being a troll priest for discipline priest just because the benefits of being troll are not like as good as being or undead or blood elf for discipline at least. Okay, on the lion side, there's three options: human, dwarf, and night elf. Which, in my opinion, for early seasons, like, talking about season 5, season 6, I would recommend to be either night elf or dwarf at the start. Why is this? It's because Wrath of the Lich King arenas are so bursty. um, every class does a lot of damage, and I think being these two ratios will benefit even more like at the start of the seasons. Let's talk about them a little bit. So dwarf, like, no big deal. Stone got nerfed. It still removes all the potion disease and bleed effects, but but it's not like on the whole duration of the buff. It only like takes the blitz off, and then they can reply wound potion again, instant or blitz again, and increase your ammo for 10% for 8 seconds, right? Which is really good for like whenever you're in pressure. Like there's gonna be a lot of feral druids on Wrath of the Lich King, 100%. They're really good. So having a stone farm is really good if you like have a feral on top of you, and you just take all the blitz off. And also you get frost resistance, which there's gonna be a lot of frost mages on Wrath, 100%. Also, another ratio that I recommend to be is Night Elf, just because Shadow Melt. Shadow Melt is such a strong passive, or I mean racial. I mean, because you can use Shadow Melt as many different ways. You can Shadow Melt to see, let's say for example, a mage is casting a shape on you, and you can Shadow Melt at the end of the cast, and the mage will land the ship, but then if you press Shadow Melt at the same moment, you will immune it, and then you will put yourself on the air also. You can shadow melt blinds and all that stuff. It really depends how you use it, but it's such a strong spell, such a strong ritual. And I'm not sure about it, but I think you also drop combat, and then you can drink. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I don't know if it was bug on the beta when I tested out, but I think it's supposed to drop combat also, so which is really good if it does. Obviously, quickness, there's the chance to be that melee and range attacks will hit you by 2%. Really good against like a lot of stuff. AK Rose can miss stuns on you, most likely. It's super strong. Natural resistance, well, this can be used like against like Asa Rose that embed on is natural damage, I believe so, and some spells against like ferals, so it's just really good. And human, I recommend being human later on season 8, season 9, or season 7, season 8, I mean, where you get more benefit of having Willows to survive because you can wear 2 PvE trinkets. And there did a blue post or a post where they nerfed the fact that you cannot wear the same trinket twice. Because back in the day, you were able to wear the epic version, I mean the heroic version and the normal version of the trinket. So that's why human was super strong back in the day. I mean, it's still gonna be strong later on in Wrath of the Lich King because you can wear two PvE trinkets, so that's huge. Like your mana is gonna be benefit of it, and it's gonna be huge, right? But I recommend being human later on, not at the start. Also, you get perception and human spirit, which got nerfed. I think it was 5% on TVC, and now it's 2%. But yeah, that's my thought process. How I think, or what you should be looking for if you play Horde Alliance. Okay, talking about crystallines. I think they're really personal to pick, but I would recommend a build that is basic and it will help you out for most of the combos that you played in 2 centuries, even like fives. I think that this basic build is gonna be really good for any discipline priest. So you wanna put five talents into Unbreakable Wield, which will reduce your stun fear and silence effects by 30%. Twin disciplines is not good. I don't recommend it. Don't play this talent. I recommend playing Improve Inner Fire because he got buffed on Wrath, and especially like Inner Fire in Wrath also increase your spell power, so it's really good to have and increases the charges of it. So it's easier to don't lose the stacks of your Inner Fire that fast. So yeah, it's a really good talent. Also, you wanna run 100% silent result because it protects your buffs by 30%. So it's really good. I don't recommend playing Improved Power Word Fortitude as a discipline because the only benefit you will get is like the 4% base stamina. For Shadow might be good, but for Disney I don't think it's worth. This talent, it got nerfed for Wrath of the Lich King. It only like reduces the duration of intros by 20%. So it's not that great in my opinion in Wrath. You wanna play inner focus 100%, meditation, allows 50% of mana region while casting really good talent. Improve power word shield. Your main healing as a priest is shield, so yeah. Mental agility, you 100% wanna play this because reduce the cost of your instant spells. And also combined with this, it helps a lot for whenever you have to spam purge defensively or offensively. These two are really good. Mana burn, obviously, like priest without mana burn is nothing. Soul Garden, 100%, and reduce the cooldown of your power word shield and reduce the mana cost of it. So amazing. You wanna play 5 points into mental strength because it unlocks power infusion. So 100%. You wanna play 3 points here, obviously, because increase your spirit and spell haste base by 6%. Such an amazing talent. I recommend 3 points here. And then I recommend playing 2 points here for the Mazi spell and also increase your damage and healing by 4%. Amazing talent. Reflector Shield got nerfed and Wrath, so now if you put two talents, it's only 45%. It's not 100%, so yeah, I don't recommend playing it right now. There's some comms that it's good to play Reflector Shield, but most of the times, like, you don't want to pick it, so yeah. You wanna play 3 points here on Falcon's Wheel because it helps a lot for buff protection. Also, like increase your healing and reduce damage taken. So 100% 3 points here. Rapture, such a crazy talent, amazing talent. This talent alone will help you to like restore some mana and also helps your partners to regen like either mana or like rage, energy, or running power. So it helps you and your partner. So 100% 3 points here. You wanna play Aspiration because reduce the CD of your main spells like such Inner Focus, Powerful Infusion, Pain Sub, and Penance by 20%. 100% put two talents here. Pain Sub obviously 100%. Grace 2 points here. This talent alone helps a lot the priest for buff protection because you get 3 stacks of this buff, which is called Grace, and increase the healing on the target. So whenever you penance a target, you shadow the whole penance, you get the 3 stacks, and you can use this talent as a buff protection. So it's really good talent, and also increase your healing. So yeah, 100% pick it. Improve flash shield. I don't recommend this talent. I don't think it's worth. I mean, it reduces the mana cost of your flash shield by 5% and increases the critical effect chance by your flash shield by 4%. Um, on targets below 50% health. So if you put 3 talents here, it's 50%. I can see this talent be used maybe later on, or like maybe some people would like to play this talent. I personally don't like it, so I won't recommend it. Obviously, talents are personal choice. This is what I think will work for most of the comms that you are gonna be playing. So yeah, borrow time combined with this talent, um, and also there's another talent that gives you haste, but yeah, this talent alone plus what was the talent that gives you haste based? Yeah, this one, Enlightenment plus this. That's 60% haste alone by plus this. Like every time that you shield target, you get a 25% increase haste. So this plus this is 31% haste that you have. So it's such an amazing talent, and also like buffs your shield. Like the more power spell power that you have, the more your shield will absorb. So such an amazing talent. Obviously 5 points here, and then penance. And then this is where the personal choice comes from. I recommend pulling 1 point here and 1 point here. Renew Hope will put a buff on the target, and if you only have 1 point on it, it's 50% chance you will get the buff. Like whenever you power shield target. But the thing is, like you always power shield people, like all the time. So the chances like you will get the buff is like pretty much like you will always have this buff up. Like trust me, you will always have it. Like you always want to be using power shields. So I don't think it's worth to go for 2 points just to have the 100% proc chance. I think it's not worth. So just go for 1 point. And then this talent, I know a lot of people likes playing with 3 points of it, but the thing is like only 10% is good enough. And mainly you want to use divine aids for buff protection, not for the actually effect of it. So I will recommend only using 1 point of here. But yeah, that's personal. That's my personal choice. So you guys can like decide by your own and just do whatever you guys think is the best. But this is my recommendation, right? And then you wanna play healing focus 2 points here, 100% because you use the pushback whenever you're getting hit. Your damage and healing by 70%. I think it used to be 100%, but it got nerfed. I'm not sure if it was 100%, but 70% is still pretty decent. Uh, Improve, renew. Uh, I think it's not worth right now. Maybe later on is better, but I don't recommend going improve renew because I think it's more worth playing 5 pumps here. And the reason is because you synergize so well with silence, like increase your critical effect on your holy spells by 5%, which is like 5% is a lot, and then it will synergize with divine aids, like inspiration, which I think is worth to play. You also wanna play Spell Garden. I don't recommend playing Divine Fury because you don't get that much benefit of it. Uh, Also because you don't want to be healing with red heals that much because it costs a lot of mana. So yeah, I would recommend playing Spell Garden, especially for early seasons, because it reduces damage taken by 6% on spell cast, so it's really good. And then we get Death Repair as a base talent, so any raised. And even though if you're Horror Alliance, you can have it now, which is such an amazing buff for Priest. Because we were like, as a Horde Priest, we were like kinda in the disadvantage against Alliance on TVC, not having Desperate Player, but now we have it as a base talent, so it's amazing. And then, like I said before, 3 points on Inspiration, I think is really worth having this talent because for buff protection, like this talent and on this one plus Divine Aids, it's just like they help a lot for buff protection because on TPC on Wrath of the Lich King we don't. It's not worth to buff rank one buffs anymore because they cost the same mana as mass rank. So you cannot be like buffing with rank one buffs anymore because you will go on. So yeah, this is the thought process about these talents. This is what I recommend for any priest. And I think this talent build will help and will work in any comp that you play in twos and threes, like even on fives. Talking about glyphs, there's literally two glyphs that they're mandatory as a discipline, which we have a lot of options. But the two mandatories that I would recommend as a major glyphs are 100% you gotta use penance, glyph of penance, because reduce your CD of your penance by 2 seconds. This is one of your main healing. Also, I mean, penance and shield are your main healing. Another mandatory one that I don't think you can play without it on PvP is Pain's Up, because this is what makes Discipline really good on Wrath, that you can use Pain's Up on stuns. So I think these two glyphs are 100% beasts. You 100% want to run these two glyphs. And then the third glyph, and this one is more personal choice. I think I tried out a lot of the glyphs on the beta because I play a lot of the beta. This one really can depend on what are you facing the most on arenas and which comp you played and which brackets. For early season, there's a lot of good options. The one that I recommend playing is the Power War Shield one, because you use Power War Shield as a main healing all the time. You're gonna be spamming shields all the time. So it's like an extra healing that you get whenever you Power War Shield people, and also there's a chance if it crits, because it can crit, it will trigger the Divine Eggs, and it will give you like an extra buff protection, right? So this is synergized well with this talent. But since, like I mentioned before, the talent is really up to you. You can really run a feed ward to reduce the CD of your feed ward by 1 minute. If you feel like you're facing a lot of like Wotlk teams or teams with fear, it can help a lot. This glyph is bad. I don't recommend it. It's bad for PvP also. You can run inner fire, which increase the armor of your armor from your inner fire by 50%. I tried it out on the beta. At the end of the day, it was like 6% uh, that it will increase on your total damage taken. So let's say, for example, you had like, I don't know, 25% damage taken, melee damage taken reduced. It will go up to like 31. It was like 6% when I tried it on the beta. 6% is kind of decent, but I don't think it's worth though. And also, you can run Glyph of Magic Spell if you feel like you're gonna be spamming a lot on this, or you can run either like this talent that increases the duration of your fear, but increases the CD. I don't think it's worth. Renew, I don't think it's worth either. This one can be actually kind of decent because there's gonna be a lot of decays early season. So for Trackle on that, the gargoyle, it can be really good. So you can run like uh, this glyph if you feel like you're facing a lot of decays. I also tried. I don't think this is worth, because not all the time you're gonna be casting Holy Fire. Another glyph that I tried a lot on the beta was the glyph of Dispel Magic, because I was playing Priest Warrior and I wanted to try it out. At the end of the day, I don't think it's worth, because I was checking details a lot and it's not worth the healing that it does. So yeah, my basic or my advice here is to run either Power War Shield glyph as the third one, or Shackle on Dead, right? If you feel like you're facing a lot of decays. For minor glyphs, but I will leave this as a Power War Shield. For minor glyphs, I think you 100% want to run Shadowfiend, Resist 5% of your maximum mana if your Shadowfiend dies from damage, like if some weirds decide to kill the Shadowfiend. Shadowfiend got buff on Wrath. Shadowfiend is such an amazing spell now. I will be explaining this later on, so you definitely want to have this. Another glyph that is really good is Glyph of Fortitude, because they reduce the mana cost of your Power Word Fortitude on plate of Fortitude spells by 50%. So you usually cuts by half the cost duration of your buff, which having this glyph allows you to rebuff Power Word Fortitude as a buff protection, and also to have the stamina back. So you 100% want to have this glyph. And also the third glyph that I recommend is having the glyph of Shackle Death, because this one increases the range of your Shackle Death by 5 yards, and you will feel the difference. Like you will think like 5 yards is like nothing, but trust me, it is. Especially whenever they pop the gargoyle. Sometimes it pops like literally on top of the seal. It's like kind of high, so increasing your Shackle by 5 yards is actually huge, in my opinion. But yeah, this is my thinking about glyphs. Okay, talking about macros, I think macros, again, are really personal, but I will share all the macros that I had made in the past or playing the beta, and I will also share them with you guys, so don't worry. You can all have my macros add-ons and all the stuff. I have a lot of mouse over macros, but this is just personal option. I don't recommend using mouse over macros for PvP. They're more PvE orientated, but like I said before, this is personal. Because I like to heal sometimes with mouse over, even though I have targeting macro. I mean targeting keybinds. It's just because it really depends where my mouse is positioned. Sometimes that I decide to heal with mouse over. But this is how I play the game, right? So I have a binding heal mouse over macro, just to like mouse over my party frame and press it once enable heal. I have a dispel macro for mouse over as well. Yeah, it's personal option also. Dispel party one, really good to have. Dispel party one, party two, and then dispel self. I think these are mandatory to have, at least to have 1 to 3 for PvP, because you wanna have and you wanna like dispel fast. I do recommend having dispel self a lot, 100%, because sometimes you're like targeting someone and they're like, let's say for example you're facing a mage and he's casting like a nova on you or slows on you. You wanna be quick enough to like be dispelling those debuffs on you. So yeah, I recommend having dispel on yourself, 100%. Dispel focus. This is just a short tube tip that I had, but I can leave it there. Delete it. Just like to dispel my focus target. Whenever I have a focus, I will be dispelling the focus target. I use it a lot. I recommend having it. Feedward uses mouse over, so I can quick feedward my party frames. As a mouse over, flash shield also mouse over. Greater heal mouse over. MC my set focus. It really depends how you play. PI, just like a mouse over PI also if I need to PI my party frames. It's a quick way that I do it. Also for palm, renew. Shadowfiend, okay, this macro is really huge because you wanna set up your Shadowfiend like this to like cast Shadowfiend, and then make sure that your pet is on pet aggressive, and you send your pet attack to the target that you want. And also you wanna like add Shadow Crawl. This is a spell that we get in Wrath of the Lich King, which is like a pour the Shadowfiend has every 6 seconds. So make sure he's using it, and also like so make sure he is like have all time. It's 5 seconds, yeah, 6 seconds, and also does damage. The thing about Shadowfiend, and we'll be explaining it later on, is like he got buffed, and Shadowfiend in Wrath of the Lich King is huge deal. It's huge deal. So you 100% wanna have this macro. Also, Masawer Purple Shield. This macro is mandatory as a priest if you wanna like death CC, like death blinds, death ships. Whenever you press this button or this macro that I have it here, it will shut over death the nearest target without swapping your target. So you can just press it and it will shut over death the nearest target. So you gotta be careful because it can target totems. Let's say for example it targets a grounded totem. I don't think you will receive damage back. I'm not sure how it works in Wrath. I don't remember if you take the damage back, but just be careful when you use it. Just remember that it will target the nearest target. So yeah, you can break CC with it also. So just make sure you're aware of what you have next to you whenever you press it. Fear yourself. I recommend having this because like whenever like a lot of stuff is happening and you're like healing or doing damage, you don't want to be like targeting yourself to war yourself. You want to have it in a macro just to like press it once and you war yourself. And this is just on a macro to target arena pets. Whenever I play with classes with have pets, aka warlocks, hunters. This is an arena numbers. This will put number on top of the nameplate so I can know which target it is on my Gladi, because sometimes like you lose track of it and then it will be showing like a number on top of the enemy nameplate. So we'll be showing number one here. Let's say for example Elisa was number one on my Gladi, it will be showing a number one here, which I think is really helpful. I can share this macro also, so don't worry. This macro is the same that I have here. I don't know why it's multiply. This one is just like a macro to use my trinket. Uh, this macro is mandatory, I think, because you always want to combine inner focus with divine hymn on Wrath, because divine hymn in Wrath of the Lich King it costs a lot of mana. It costs 2.4k mana. It's one of your most expensive spells, so and it's such an amazing talent that I will be explaining later on. So you definitely want to combine it with inner focus, so that way it doesn't cost mana and it also crits. So it's such an amazing macro to have. So you don't have to like you just do it like insta, on the macro. You don't have to be pressing two keybinds. So I recommend having it. This figure rank 2 and rank 4, you don't have to use it anymore because the rank spells in Wrath is not a thing, like on TVC. This one is figure your fin, 100% have it because whenever you fin, there's like a water that is gonna use figure in your Shadowfiend because they know it's OP and that's what they usually do. So you wanna like figure your fin so it also get feared and you get you get value of your Shadowfiend. Figure yourself. This is the same like the other one. It's again multiply for some reason because my slot copy a lot of the same macros that I already had. Flash shield mouse over. It's the same that I had before. Just like a mouse over macro. Delete it. These one are just like macros to focus arena 1 to 3. I think you can do it on the keybind so you don't have to do the macros. This is a macro for my frames. Whenever I press it, I move these frames here. You can position the frames how you want. Also gonna be showing this macro if you wanna like resize this or move this positioning of these buffs. You can do it with this macro. Ready heal and ready heal rank 2. These are TBC macros that are not useful anymore. This one is just like a show tooltip macro. It was for my Holy Nova on TBC. I won't use it anymore. This one, lasting frames, helps if you don't have the add-on soaring groups. Like it puts yourself in the last spot of the ray frames. Since I use a lot of party macros, it helps me out to be in the last of my frames. But there's also an add-on, but it's not updated, so I might be using this macro actually. Mana burn self focus, so it's actually easier for me to mana burn people. These were like weapon macros that I had. It's just basically like equip certain weapons. But yeah, that would change. Like this is just personal macros. MC Arena 2, MC Arena 3, MC Arena 1. This is just like I play. I like to have Arena 1 to 3 MC also. Nameplates is to show the color nameplates and increase the range where you can see the nameplates. I think this one and the other one is the same, so I'm gonna delete this one. These are just target macros to target my party 1 and 2 on my party frames. This is just a pen and self macro. You need to put the rank of it. So instead of like target myself, I just have a macro so I can pen as myself. It's really good, I think. Also like PI myself, and this is just another one that is you could copy by my slot. This is just a macro for trinkets, and then another macro for weapons. A renew macro, you don't need rank 1 renew because it costs the same mana, so you don't need to rank 1 those heals. And what else do I have? Oh, this macro, Shackle Garg, it's called. This macro is really huge because whenever you face decays, since you have here on the command slash target harm even gargoyle. Whenever they summon the gargoyle and you're like targeting this guy and there's like a gargoyle here popped, you just press the macro and it will insta target the gargoyle, and then you shackle on that and it will put your last target that you had. So it's actually like really good. I will be sharing this also. There's another power worship macro that I could copy. Another shadow word macro, but and then just targeting macros that I have. And then this macro for my want, it's just like any one that I have, it will just work with any want. It's like has exclamation point shoot, so you use the one command. But yeah, those are my macros. I think overall I have a little more sober macros. I don't have any crazy macros besides like shadow word death, macros like to target yourself, like dispel, PI, penance, or the chocolate gargoyle macro, or the divine hymn, so you can macro with inner focus. They're really strong and really huge to have as a priest. But yeah, those are my macros that I recommend to have. I will be sharing them, obviously, so don't worry. Okay, talking about gearing on Wrath of the Lich King as a priest, it really depends which beast list do you follow for season 5, because there's like a lot of out there. I will make mine later on and I will share with you guys. But overall, you wanna aim to have 4% hit rating, and you wanna aim to cap your spell pen to 130. So there's a lot of ways to get up to these numbers depending the gear that you can get, which beast list do you follow, and all this stuff. And but overall, you wanna aim for this having 4% hit and 130 spell pen, right? Gearing, in my personal opinion, there is a lot of ways you can do this in season 5 in Wrath. You obviously want to run 4 set as a discipline priest because you want to have the bonus set, which is the reduce the duration of your weakened soul effect by your forward shield by 2 seconds. So you reduce the CD of like the cooldown of this, so you can reshield people. And the reason because of it is just because shield is one of your main healing, and also you get the haste buff, right? Borrow time, which is amazing. So you definitely want to run the 4 set as a priest. I won't get like deep into it how you're supposed to gem and gear because like first of all, this is on the beta. We don't have all the gear I cannot show, and also like I think it's just better to check a biz list for that. But my main recommendation is to get at least 4% hit rating and 130 spell pen. The reason because of it is because 4% is the hit that you need overall for any class against any class to your spells to work. You can aim to get up to like 6% to avoid ratios like undead ratio or brutal ratios that, let's say, for example, brutal ratios, they have a passive that uh, reduces the chance to get hit by a spell cast by 2%. So if you get up to like 6%, you get rid of it of that ratio, right? So you can aim for to get more hits, but you will have to sacrifice lower stats, right? So yeah, it really depends how your gear is looking and which business do you follow. Also, you wanna aim for 130 spell pen just because of the fact that paladins have shadow protection aura, which they give up to like they can have like up to like 130 shadow protection. So it's most likely like if you don't have a spell pen, you will be missing fearsome paladins or like priests with shadow protection. Like it's 130 also. So yeah, you wanna aim to have a spell pen at least 130 is the cap that I recommend having. And stat wise, you always wanna get resilience, the max resilience that you can possibly get. Um, Technically speaking, I think for Wrath, at least early season, I would recommend having MP5 gear rather than Spirit gear. The reason because of it is just because arenas are not that long in Wrath. They're bursty, and I think you won't have enough time to be reading mana with the spirit, aka like the 5 second rule. So you will get more benefit of mana region MP5. So I recommend aiming for MP5 gear instead of spirit gear. Also intellect got buffed, so intellect is huge. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for gearing and stats prio as a priest. Oh, I guess like haste. You get haste, you get it from talents, right? So you get alignment, you get 6% base haste, and also like whenever you shoot people, you get borrow time. So I don't think you need to get haste gear. Obviously, if you have some items, it helps, and you will feel like the difference. But mainly aim for MP5 and healing, and obviously the resilience. Okay, how to play offensive and defensive as a discipline priest. I can give you guys so many tips that I think it will help you guys. But let's start playing defensive. So mainly you wanna make sure you always have good positioning as a priest. Like it's hard to explain without an arena, but like you always wanna be positioning yourself like on pillars and like always like picking targets, like doing this picking, like playing defensive and then just go out whenever you know that you can land a fear, and then land a fear and then you run away. Obviously, I mean that's basic like gameplay as any healer, but it's really huge to always keep in mind. But I guess my most tips that I can give you guys, because I know a lot of people struggle, is like always make sure you use your power word shield, your renew, your pump, and you always like keep buffing your trash buffs. Well, there's no trash buffs in Wrath of the Lich King anymore, but make sure you can always buff the buffs that are cost less mana, aka like power word fortitude with the glyph. And there's like no other buffs you can buff besides like abolish, renew, shield, pump, and I guess inner fire if you're gonna hit. Well, this is not a buff anymore, but you get my point, right? And I guess this is the question I get a lot. How do you tank against warriors, or how do you play against warriors? Um, Against warriors, dude, you always want to make sure you have your shit up because they don't. I think it's still a thing. They don't get rage if they have shield. So make sure you always have your shit up. There's something called, well, I don't know the name of it. I will be putting in here. Whenever the warrior overpowers, uh, well, whenever the warrior has a buff, um, and they overpower people, they reduce the spell power of the target by 50%. That combined with motor strike effects is deadly. Like you won't be able to hit a warrior damage if that ever happen. If you have a warrior on top of you and they have Motor Strike, and on top of that, they get the debuff from you from the Motor Strike from the overpower effect. Like it's no way you can survive that. So my main recommendation against warriors mainly because this is what a lot of people I see struggle with, and this is what a lot of people ask me how I manage to tank them is you literally like either like get a Wikara for it or you target the guy or set focus the guy and make sure you're tracking his buffs. Obviously, it will be easier with a Wikara. I don't have it yet. I don't have any Wikaras right now here, but I will definitely get a Wikara for the buff on Wrath of the Lich King. So my main recommendation is if you have a Warrant of you obviously like make sure you have a you shield, renew, palm up, and then try to get a penance off. If you juke like the you can either like juke with the flash shield, try to bait him to kick and then just get a full penance off, or you can like juke the penance and then juke the kick and cast flash shields. But the main thing you gotta be looking for is that buff that I mentioned before. And if they have her up, like you gotta juke it so they use overpower. They use overpower so they don't get the debuff from you. And then as soon as they don't have the debuff, you can actually cast. And then so that way you can actually manage to heal their damage. Because if they get the debuff from you and they have Motor Strike on you and they have open on you, it's nothing you can do to survive. And then you will be ending like trading big cities like Pens Up and calling for pills because you won't be able to heal. That's early on in the seasons because Warrior gets stronger later on with all the armor pen gear that they get and Shadowmourne obviously, but overall that's my main advice just to make sure to track the buff and make sure they don't get that debuff on you. Talking about like playing offensive dudes, like how you do damage and stuff. Like there's like compared to TVC, one damage is not as big deal like it used to be. One doesn't do that much damage, so you don't reliable that much to do damage with the want anymore. So obviously, like you wanna do like Mind Blast, Holy Fire is your most cheap spell to do damage. Holy Fire is Might, and then Penance or Mind Blast. I mean, if you wanna be really mana efficient, you wanna like only Holy Fire and Pen and Smite. And if you wanna like dot the target, the thing about it, like, you always wanna like know how much mana your spell costs. I think this is an issue that a lot of people have. They don't actually know how much mana a spell costs. In my opinion, before you play or before you do anything, just make sure you like mouse over to check all your spells to see how much mana they cost so that way that it will give you like a better idea how like what do you want to use depending how much mana you have. I have a really good idea of how much mana everything costs, so I know how to prio my spells. But to do damage or playing offensively, like you want to always like be mana efficient, like holy fire smites, and then like cast either mind blast penance. If you don't want to like penance to heal, you can use it like to kill if the target is low. And then obviously Shadow Death, right, on city to do damage. Like if you're not getting spam ship or CC, you can use Shadow Death to do damage. And also another tip, this is like a priest thing that people don't reliable that much. Is like how strong your dispel magic is, defensively and offensively. Mainly offensively. Like you wanna always pry your dispel magic on people that you wanna kill, especially in Wrath, especially if you're facing paladins. Why is this? It's because I don't know. Let's say, for example, paladins have sacred shields, and if you're trying to kill a target that has sacred shield up, it's most likely you will end up like doing all the damage to the shield and not going through the shield, and then all the shield, all the like the sacred shield will absorb your damage and your teammate damage. So let's say, for example, we're trying to kill this guy and he has a lot of buffs and he has sacred shield. Instead of doing damage, I will prio to dispel the sacred shield and then do damage. So always be looking for those buffs that are super strong. Let's say, for example, paladins have sacred shield and also like always prior to dispel like um, power word shields. You know that priest power word shield is your main healing, so you always wanna dispel power word shield, and always be careful because if they have grace stack, like this will like have a high chance to will be taking like grace stacks. This is why you wanna buff protection with grace. So always like consider your mana before you all in with the spells, because mana like this spell it costs 405 mana. It's not that cheap. So just be careful with it, how you use it. But that's my main recommendation, my main tip. Always make sure like you dispose like shields overall. Like mage, like their mage shield, super strong. Paladins, sacred shields, priest, power shields to kill people, right? And obviously like you wanna be dispelling like divine plea for paladins, because divine plea regens a lot of mana, and if you dispel divine plea from a paladin, they will struggle with mana, right? So yeah, that's my main recommendation and my advice and tips that I can give you guys. Okay, I'm gonna keep this one simple. How to heal properly as a priest, like I mentioned before so many times. You always wanna shield people, renew palm, and obviously use penance on CD to heal. And then only if you need to cast flash shield, you go for it. If you don't have penance, and then always like reply your shields, bomb, penance. So this is your main healing all the time. Just like making sure you have your renew up, your shield up, your palm up, and penance. And then only if you really need, cast flash shields. It's pretty simple, straightforward, not big deal. And I guess like it includes how you protect your buffs, because if you don't protect your shields, if someone is spam Persian, then you're gonna struggle, right? So always make sure you get your great stacks, and then you can like either like abolish to like get an extra buff, and make sure you get your power word fortitude up, because since it doesn't got that much mana because of the glyph. And then again, penance, you get the inspiration talent, which is insane for buff protection, like I mentioned before. And yeah, just that's it. It's just simple, simple as that. Always prior your shields, your buffs, renew, palm, penance, and if needed, clash rush shield. It's super weird. You go for Gary Hills. The reason of it is just because it costs a lot of mana, and it's a long cast, especially because we don't run Divine Fury, especially early seasons. And you definitely could to heal with Red Hill if you like combine it with inner focus and you know you can get it off. It's a huge heal. But you mainly want to save inner focus for the Divine Him. Like I explained before, it's like a huge heal. Divine Heal is like an amazing heal. I will be explaining later on that you can heal through like pillars. So yeah, definitely such a strong heal, and also like gives you a buff, increase healing. So it's an extra buff also. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward how you heal as a discipline priest. It's pretty easy. Just make sure you have your shield up, renew, palm, penance mainly. Talking about Shadowfiend in Wrath of the Lich King as a discipline priest is a huge deal. Shadowfiend in Wrath as a DC or Shadow, it doesn't matter. It, it does, first of all, it does a lot of damage and also regions a lot of mana. And whenever you use Shadowfiend, you want to make sure this guy has uptime on the target, because if you manage to get good uptime on the target and good management of your Shadowfiend, it will make the difference a lot in your arenas. So this Shadowfiend guy, make sure you use this macro that I mentioned before, the Shadowfiend macro on my macro section. So make sure that he attacks and also be using Shadow Crawl. Always make sure he's on top of the target, because this guy, this little guy, will do a lot of damage and will regen a lot of your mana. I think I remember like I have like 16k mana right now, and it was like reaching like 7.8 mana, 8k mana, depending how much open he had when I was playing the beta. So it's definitely like a lot of mana. And it's a 5 minute CD, so you gotta make sure you use it properly as a discipline priest. Because as you can see the tooltip, it regens 5% of your mana when the Shadowfiend attacks. So each attack will be regen 5% of your mana. So it definitely like regens a lot of mana, and it also does a lot of damage. So make sure you always use Shadowfiend in a proper way. Talking about the ranking spells, in Wrath of the Lich King, I think most of the classes uh, got affected by this. Like mages, they cannot spam rank 1 Blizzard anymore to AoE people and slow them, and all the stuff. But as a priest, it really hurt us in a way because we cannot use a lot of trash buff to protect our buffs anymore, and also like do other stuff like keeping people in combat with Shadow Word Pain, because in TVC you were able to like spam rank 1 Shadow Word Pain and keep broken combats or a dot or keep combat with that, you know. So it definitely hurt us, but like I mentioned before, there's ways to protect your buffs. This is why the talents are really important to pick properly. And yeah, it's like it's not worth anymore to use any Downraking spells, which in a way it saves us a lot of keybinds. Like we don't have to be keybinding a lot of buffs like on TVC to protect, like to buff like rank 1 buffs, aka like all these buffs like divine spirit, even the fire, fortitude anymore. So it's actually not that bad in my opinion. It just sucks that we cannot do like stuff like before. But yeah, the ranking spells is not a thing anymore. You cannot rank heals because everything costs the same, and it's no point because why will you like cast a ready heal that is lower rank? It costs the same mana and it will heal less, right? Or a heal, a flash heal. So yeah, the ranking spells is not a thing anymore in Wrath, so don't even worry about it. Talking about mana management as a priest, my main tip and recommendation is to go through your spellbook and mouse over each spell that you have, and make sure you know how much mana they cost. If you do this and you have an idea how much mana your spell costs, and you based on that you're playing arenas or PvP or anything, you prio the way that you use the spells because you know how much mana they cost. That is gonna be a lot of difference between going on fast or not, or like having more mana than other people, right? Like another priest. I'm really good at it. I always like mana other priests just because the fact that I know how much mana my stuff costs. So always like keep thinking about it whenever I try to do stuff. But yeah, that's reason number one. I recommend that. And also another tip is like to make sure you know that how mana regen works properly. You know that you regen mana every 5 seconds while not casting, and you also regen mana every 5 seconds while casting, right? So we still have the 5 second rule where if you cast a heal or any spell, and then there's an add-on you can see the ticking, but I don't have it right now. And you wait 5 seconds, you will regen like certain mana, right? Depending how much MP5 or spirit you have. So make sure to always like be considering it. Like I mentioned before, I recommended to wear a lot of MP5 gear rather than a spirit because in Wrath arenas are fast, so I don't think you will get benefit of a spirit that much. So like waiting for like a spirit to waiting for the 5 second rule, I don't think it's a thing. Well, it is a thing, but I don't think you will get that much value by running spirit in early seasons at least. Maybe later on is better, but season 5, season 6, I think like arenas are super fast, so it's better to run AP5. And yeah, like we have spells like Shadowfiend. Shadowfiend will regen a lot of mana, so make sure you use Shadowfiend properly. It reaches 5% mana each time it attacks, so make sure you use Shadowfiend properly and make sure the Shadowfiend has all planet target, and make sure you're using the macro that I mentioned before. Also, make sure we use, well, we have Him Hope on Wrath of the Lich King, which will restore 3% of your mana to 3 near below mana friendly party or raid targets every 1.8 seconds for 7 seconds. So it regens mana to you and your party friends. So you can either use this talent or not talent, I mean, sorry, spell because it's based for DC and for Shadow as well to regen mana for you or your partners, and increases their total maximum mana by 20% for 8 seconds. So yeah, it's such an amazing talent. This talent works. Let's say, for example, your teammates are here, and you come here in nanosites, and you use it like behind the pillar. It's an AoE buff, so it will benefit everyone if it's in the range. So make sure you use Hemo Hub properly because it's such an amazing talent for mana region. And also, you gotta consider that we have this talent here, Rapture. So make sure always prioritize Power Word Shields because it's mainly your main healing, but also a way to regen mana and also a way to help your partners to regen their mana or energy if you play with a roll or rage if you play with a water or a decay. So make sure you always like be shielding people and make sure you know how much mana your spell cost and always keep in mind of the 5 second rule if you wanna like regen some extra mana. If you got really good spirit gear, that increases your 5 second rule mana ticks. Yeah, those are my advice. Talking about compositions of lane twos and threes. Well, I don't have that much experience. Well, I did play the beta a lot, so I'm gonna be talking about the comms that I played a lot on the beta, and I think they're really strong. For twos, well, I did a lot of games. Well, it's not showing anymore, but I did play a lot of games. I play a lot of DPR. DPR, like Discipline Priest role, I think is one of the strongest by far that I played. If you play with a good role and you know how to play the comp, I think it's such a great comp. Like you can, yeah, like beat any comp pretty much if you play right. If you had the right strats, you can play also Priest Feral. I played a lot. Priest Feral seems amazing. It struggles against like some comps. Like Priest Feral struggles like against like DPRs for example. And but I mean every comp has its pros and cons. And it's independent how you play it, and if you know the right strats, you can definitely beat any comp. It really depends on what you like the most. You can also play Priest Lock with a Destro Lock. I think is pretty strong, and also Priest Hunter, and maybe why not like some Glyphs like Priest Warrior, Priest DK, Priest Red. To be honest, I'm not sure how good those comps are because I didn't get to play them that much, but definitely you can play them. For trees, mainly like you may come and like always in any expansion, RMP. Priest, Roam Mage is gonna be one of the strongest. Any season, any expansion. You can also play Jungle Cliff or play some spell clips like Priest Lock Mage, Priest Ellie Mage, or with a Warlock. Uh, I think overall it really depends uh, which partners do you get to play with and which comp you like the most. I think overall this Priest can work with most of the comps, with most of the classes, which is amazing. Can really play most of the comps, and I think you will success if you know how to like manage to like find the strats against certain comps that you struggle, like find the strat to beat them and be consistent with it. I think you can play any comp. But yeah, that's my experience playing the beta. It's been a while. I don't play Wrath of the Lich King since the retail. I didn't play any private servers. So all this information and knowledge that I'm giving to you guys is me playing the beta because I did play it a lot since I got a beta. But yeah, this is what I think about it. Like always, always gonna be offering you guys some tips and tricks that I always think they are really important to know as a priest. I think I share a lot of them already on the video, but mainly as a priest, like if you play discipline, my best advice and tip is to protect your power shields no matter what. Power shield is such an amazing spell. It's always gonna be your main healing, and if it really makes warrior rage a lot because they don't get rage when they hit the shield. And yeah, like always protect your shield. Like always try to have the maximum shields that buffs. I mean, in a fire is not a buff, but you get my point. Always try to protect it with buffs like abolish disease, renew. You shield yourself, and then you get spell purge. You get this off. And then Power Word, Word Fortitude, you want to rebuff it. You don't want to rebuff like Divine Spirit and Shadow Protection because, as you can see, they cost a lot of mana. So make sure like you use your ship spells like Renew, Pump, Abolish. They're really good, and Fortitude because of the glyph. And then you have a lot of buffs to protect your shields. That's advice and tip number one. Also, like make sure you get good use of the My Hymn on arenas. The My Hymn on Rust is so it's huge. It's strong. So always remember that you have Divine Hymn and always try to cast it like behind pillars so you don't get interrupted and you get the full channeling. Always make sure you tell your partners you're casting it, so make sure they're in range of it. It's 40 yards. It's pretty long range. And try to combine it with inner focus so that way it doesn't cost that much mana. It's a tip that I can give you. Also, remember that use flash penance to get the grace stacks because it gives you 3 stacks of grace, and whenever you dispel, you get a gold through the stacks. You cannot purge it once, so it's really good for breath protection. Also, like I mentioned before, try to like know how much mana your stuff costs because that way you can out mana other people because you're gonna be more efficient than other people like other priests. Always prio to play offensive as a priest by using the spell magic because the spell magic is such a strong spell because only shamans and priests can dispel offensively. So make sure you always like dispel sacred shields, over shields from targets. It will make the difference. And also another thing that I haven't talked about is mana burn. Mana burn, it destroys 10% of the target's mana, up to like a maximum of 20%. So you play against like paladins or other priests and you can get mana burns off. Always pray mana burns because that's how you're gonna manage to like make the move and just have a win condition of mana if you get some mana burns. But also it comes how you position yourself. Like always like make sure you're around pillars and snipe some mana burns in between, you know? Some that's my advice. Also another tip or a recommendation is like as a discipline you don't wanna be spamming the Warren Plague just because the fact that it costs a lot of mana. So make sure you only like dot whenever you know you're doing a big goal and you know most likely you're gonna get a lot of cities. Then you wanna use your dots because they're not cheap, right? And if you wanna be mana efficient, just make sure you have this in considering your mind and also like how much mana you have because especially the burn blade it does cost a lot of mana. And yeah, your Shadowfiend. Make sure you get a good use of your Shadowfiend, like it's playing in the Shadowfiend section. Shadowfiend is amazing. Uh, you got buffed, so you want to make sure you use your Shadowfiend properly. And how you trade your defensive cities, like how you use Paints Up. You want to use Paints Up against like big cities like Shadow Dance, against Rose, Berserker, against Ferals. DKs whenever they pop their cities, Gargoyle, or if they play Frost, they have like a city that has 5 minute city. You mainly want to use Paints Up on those cities, major cities. Make sure you trade them properly. The Palm, play Romanin, like on TVC. Palm, like if you know how to use Palm properly, especially like how to bounce it, it's gonna be one of your main healing combined to shield. So make sure you use Palm a lot and make sure you can make your palm bounce a lot. Let's say, for example, your bounce, if you pumped this guy and the palm bounced back to you, remember that you can use Shadow Word Death to make it bounce again because you will take damage or it will bounce. And also, like if you play with a Warlock, you can Hellfire and then he will take damage and the bounce is gonna be bouncing. Against DKs, Palm is gonna be huge because they disease a lot of people and they spread the disease. So Palm is gonna be huge. Just make sure you use pump a lot. Uh, I'm pretty sure that you will be hitting a lot with pump. But yeah, exploit the fact that you get Desperate Player also. You can also combine Inner Focus and Desperate Player to get like a chance to crit if you're like really low health. You can use like that way. But yeah, I think that's it. My main advice, my tips that I consider important as a priest. I hope you guys learn something from this. And yeah, once again, it was a pleasure to make this guide for you guys. I hope you guys learn a lot from this guide. Feel free to comment me in the comment section if you guys have any questions that I might miss to cover. I'm gonna be answering anything. Feel free to ask me anything. I'm gonna be sharing all the information that I promised, all my macros, all my add-ons, all the stuff. So don't worry. And make sure to share this video with your priest homies, so they can learn from this. And also to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this type of content. I'm also gonna be streaming on Twitch every day, so make sure to check me out live. I stream on Twitch TV/Hozitojones, and I'm gonna be working on a Shadow Priest guide in the next week, so make sure to check it out if you play Shadow Priest, because I main Shadow Priest on retail, and I'm gonna be playing Shadow Priest a lot for Wrath of the Lich King. So I'm gonna be working on that guide a lot this week. I'm gonna upload it whenever I have it done. Yeah, I think that's it, boys. Like I said before, feel free to ask me anything. I always answer. I have a Discord that you guys can join. You can ask me any questions on my Discord also. Don't be afraid. I'm a nice guy. I'm not elitist at all. I have been playing this game my entire life. I like to help people. I'm really good at arenas, so it's really nice to me. I feel like good sharing all the information I know, all the stuff that I have learned in the past by playing this game. And I have been playing Priest my entire life, so I'm pretty sure like I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, hi boys. Thank you for watching my guy. And this is my Priest guy for Wrath of the Lich King. I hope you guys enjoy it. Love you guys. Peace, peace.